I've been a nurse for 32 years. I have custody of a little boy I used to work with in foster care. He's only 8, and he's also in hospice. I have been quietly quitting nursing for 33 years. From the moment I graduated until now, I've been trying to work my way out of it. And you say, well, why is that and why haven't you succeeded? Well, just like everybody else, people are in this profession because of money. This is a profession that pays a decent wage. Where can you go and earn a nurse's salary without that license? You can't earn probably close to that unless you have your own business. And I actually wanted to start a cleaning business about 2 years out of nursing school. Well, really a year and a half. I was fed up with it. But I've spent a lifetime in it, and I try to encourage people not to go into it at all. It seems like it's about caring and taking care of patients when you are young and dumb. And it's really not about that at all. It's a task-oriented profession where you do A, B, C, and D on your shift for this particular patient, and it goes on and on and on. Based on their diagnosis, what they've had done, you are going to be computer generated a list of to-dos, a task list, and that's what you're supposed to do on your shift for each and every one of your patients. The corporation, they don't care if you care about patients. That's not what you're hired to do. You're hired to do a job and those tasks. And feeding that information into the computer is what you must do before you leave each shift. So I've worked in nursing before it became computerized as much as it is now. Doing home health back in the early 90s seemed like it was my thing. And as it became more and more corporate, small companies sold out to larger companies and became more computerized, the less intimate it became. They didn't care if you had empathy for your patients. They don't care if you're a satisfied patient, even though you get the calls about customer satisfaction. It's really not about that. That's just something they have to do for Joint Commission accreditation. It's not about you and were you happy or not. You present to the hospital or nursing home or outpatient clinic or lab or wherever, and you present a red, white, and blue card, a Medicaid card, an insurance card. The fact that you have coverage, your care is determined based upon what that institution, corporation can bill. It's not about what's really wrong with you. It's about how much money can we get off this card. So a friend of mine told me he had a tumor removed in his throat, and doctors told him they didn't get all of it, could do 10 or 12 radiation treatments. By the time he saw the radiation doctor, the oncologist, he needed 35 treatments. I said, do you realize that you're going to need a trach? You're going to need a G-tube if you do that. Well, because people are so trusting of this healthcare system, that's why they suffer as much as they do. And I know that sounds kind of backwards, but it's true. And you learn this over a lot of years. You may not see it first 3 or 4 years in nursing. You may or may not. But based on what the protocols are for what you have and what the hospital can do to make money, that's what the treatment you're going to get. It's not really about what's particularly wrong with you. The judgment of doctors is no longer needed. It's no longer wanted, which is why they are working with hospital corporations, and if they don't toe the line themselves, they won't be there. So they are supposed to see X number of patients a day. They're supposed to bill X amount of dollars. So, it's just a big corrupt mess is what healthcare is. So I was telling you about why I'm quietly quitting nursing. About 10 years ago, I started figuring out that in order to get in my Mustang convertible and go to work every day, I forgot how much I figured up. I needed to make X amount of dollars per day just to make that car payment. So it might have been like $40 every working day that I worked that I needed to come up with for that car payment and insurance and taxes. So then I got to thinking, well, what about the house? So I started adding all this up at my overhead and realized I had to work just to pay these expenses, and if I could eliminate expenses, that's a lesser amount of work I would need to do. And so through the years I have eliminated bills. So I don't have a car payment. I do have a small house payment that is $300 some bucks a month, on a little 1,000 square foot house. It's nothing fancy, but it's cheaper than renting right now. I am very frugal as far as utilities, and I don't go out to eat. I don't go shopping. I don't do these things because I know that means I'm more enslaved, you might say. The more I do, the more I spend. If I go and want to pick up some decor or something for the house, is it really worth me working extra to have that? And so through the years I figured out, no, it's not. Everything I have is old car, old house. As far as getting out of nursing, I have been trying to, like I say, for 32 years, practicing bills and shopping habits and spending, eating out, these things. Those were easy to let go. So it kind of got to where I was able to work Baylor or weekends only, and I did that for several years. And then I started working a job that was like 30 hours a week, Monday through Friday. I've done several little jobs. I've done, in my nursing career, I've tried everything. I've tried every single thing you could think of, from hospital to nursing home, inpatient rehab, detox, home health, hospice, in-home care, adult daycare, working for these home care agencies, doing supervisory visits. I've done a lot of different things. Occupational health, that was also another one. And I worked for a big company, General Electric, as one of their occupational health nurses. And I have to say, it was very corporate. That was a very stressful job. People are like, oh, that's such a good job. You work for GE, da-da-da. Well, you know, I couldn't even get off work to go see my son program at school when he was like 8, and I knew that job wasn't going to work out because you have to be married to that job. That is your life when you work for it. So that did not work out, and I did give that job up after 3 years. So now I bought my house here in 2019, and I have worked less than 30 hours a week ever since, and it's not good pay either, I must say. So even those jobs, like adult daycare that I was doing, it's about money there too. It's still, you can't get away from that in healthcare. Doing in-home care supervisor visits and training orientation for new employees and signing up their new clients and all this, you still can't get away from it. I mean, these people want you to put their apps on your phone. They want you to put the email on the phone. They want to call you all the time, and it's a job without benefits. These are aggravating jobs. It's hard to get away from that corporate world. I will say that in the last few years, I have done private duty in-home care nursing, and it was great up until I hurt my back on an adult. I've done pediatric and adult, and it's a fairly decent job because you're not waiting on anybody to relieve you. You have one patient you have to worry about, and the stress level is a whole lot less. And I think it's probably well suited for older nurses like myself to do that. It doesn't pay good, but it's a whole lot less stress than some of these other jobs that I've had. You're interacting basically with nobody at the office unless it's a phone call or an email or text or something, but you're out there one-on-one with your patient and you are taking care of them, and it's definitely better than having to deal with so many people. My issue is, when I'm in a nursing home, and there's one right down the road from me that's probably less than 10 miles away, that I worked at. I worked night shift. The hardest part for me there wasn't so much the clients, which they were challenging too. It was the employees. I've been cussed out. I've been, basically told to shut up because I wanted to really question med regimens on people who were having falls and lethargic, and doctors were not willing to change anything when I felt like these people needed to come off of blood pressure medicine. So your voice is not wanted. It's when you really care about these patients. Nobody cares that you care. That's not what this is about anymore. It's about money, and everybody needs to understand that. If you're going to nursing school, and I pray you'll rethink that career path, because it's changed drastically in this 33 years. You really need to think about it. They don't need you to be caring. You just need to be a robot, and you need to feed that computer and make sure that you check off all the boxes before you leave, and you learn to put up with a lot of different personalities. So quietly quitting for me is kind of where I'm at now. I'm working about 8 to 12 hours a week, if that. I do work in corrections. It could be just, I would never want to be full-time there. It's local, it's easy. I have custody of a medically fragile child. I'm not a paid caregiver for him. I can be a paid nursing assistant, which is like $16 an hour, and I may do that at some point. But you cannot in South Carolina get paid to be their nurse. You can in some other states, and I will attach a link to this video so you can check and see. But there's other ways to be a nurse. There's other ways to care and show empathy towards people. I took custody of this little boy. I was working with him as his nurse and fell in love with him. Wanted to get him out the system, which is a bad place for any kid to be. And with his parents' blessing, I brought him home with me in 2023. It's been difficult to work because he is a sick kid. But I love him, and this is what my life focuses around now. Everything's decided around this little boy. And that includes work. It's tough. We don't have a lot of money coming in here, but somehow we manage. And it's something, if some of you may be interested in, look at fostering medically fragile children. In your state, you might be able to be a paid nurse to work with that child. But it is something to think about. As far as leaving nursing at 58, I could see that I could maybe foster some kids part-time. I probably would not do it full-time again, just because of my own health issues. But fostering kids, especially the sick ones that need nurses, doing these home care supervisory visits. I mean, there is a lot of autonomy with that. There's no benefits. The pay's not great, but it is a decent way to earn a living. That's better than nursing homes and hospitals. I have tried, I've had work from home jobs before also, so let me hit on those. Way back in 2012, I went to work for Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and I did that 2 years, well, really a little more than two. Sitting in a chair for 8 hours doing something that is absolutely boring, looking at medical records that you don't even care about. It's all about money. I mean, with that, you see that too. So I'm not interested in doing that. And most recently, I decided, well, maybe I have this little boy here, I could do triage. And so, but triage, that's another thing. They want you to read a script. They want you to answer so many calls. Cut your phone call short. Don't chit chat with the patients. It's all corporate stuff. I mean, none of this is how I would actually interact with someone that's on hospice calling me saying, Tracy, can you help me, because I'm trying to figure out what should I give him. I answer totally different than probably the script that I'm given to read. So, or the protocols that I'm given to read. I'm not really interested in doing that. That's difficult. So that's not really an option for me either. It's probably a better option for people who don't have a kid at home like I do, and it's better than being out there working shifts. No driving, sit around in your pajamas, you probably like it. But anyway, so yeah, I'm ready to like not renew the nursing license next go round and give those up. So hopefully it won't be long before I can do that. But I appreciate your time and thank you for tuning in.